current coming towards you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it has all of its polyps facing into the current so that it can feed. And then it looks like, yeah, a little hermit crab hanging off of there, as well as probably an anemone. That's
All
good.
right,
Thank
yeah,
you.
let's come wide.
Full down right now.
So the side without polyps is completely exposed skeleton, no soft tissue on it? Or?
It so when they're healthy, it has soft tissue on it. I couldn't tell because that one has clear, it looked like it had clear tissue.
Oh.
So I couldn't tell if there was tissue on the back or not. But what they said in our watch change is we've kind of been like hopping on these little knolls throughout the dive, and that when we get to the summit of these knolls is where we have the higher coral diversity and abundance than on the ledges. So
I'm pretty soaked.
We are summited.
In this dive, we're going fairly close. What, 200 meters?
No, we're gonna only go to like 600 for this one.
Okay.
Yeah, 700.
So we're pulling up at 4. Is that still the?
Yeah.
Oh no.
Holly, going back to the bird colony conversation up above, there was a question about any potential citizen science opportunities with U.S. Fish and Wildlife. Is there anything the community can do to be part of the team?
Yeah, so there's 2 ways to answer that. To be part of the team, for sure. So there's, if you just are interested, there are lots and lots of volunteer opportunities at wildlife refuges across the country, including in the Pacific Islands. We have national wildlife refuges on all the main Hawaiian Islands, and then also up the northwestern Hawaiian Islands. So lots of volunteer opportunities, and I will try to track down a good website to send folks where they can look into that. There's oftentimes we will actually have volunteer positions on some of these remote islands doing particular projects, say on Midway or Palmyra are some of the ones with more permanent like research and staff stations. So there are times that you can actually get out in a volunteer or a paid position at one of those as well.
Yeah, we can zoom when you guys are ready.
And then after we maybe look at this guy, there's another option that we're trying to start doing in the future for actual citizen science virtually.
First we have a shrimp.
Then
yeah, yeah. It's got very long legs.
I know, that seems like such a bad idea.
I don't know.
I mean, they seem super fragile.
I wonder if it's like one, for more effective swimming, and 2, to avoid like being right at the substrate interface.
Yeah.
So that something can detect you.
Well, and because like if they're walking over sediment, then they would have more stability, right, from those long legs.
Yeah.
Oops.
And you avoid inducing a predation event. Sorry, Grant. No.
I suppose too that water is very dampening, right? It's more viscous, especially on that level and scale of life. And also you can use that third dimension to your advantage if you're that thin and frail of legs. You don't need to support your body weight just to create vortices instead or manipulate the water.
I wonder if they use them from a sensory perspective as well, like out in the water around them. Can they sense through those legs?
I don't know. I know that their antennas, which they have really long antennas for that.
Yeah.
So, but I don't know if they can. I don't think their legs are sensory.
But they move so fast when they're swimming.
6 antenna?
Yeah.
Or 6 of the really long antenna?
Yeah. It has something like
Really?
an isopod, I think, or an amphipod right at its mouth, or like its.
Oh yeah.
We've seen some really cool like shrimp fishing, or like we've seen a shrimp capture a fish out of the water column to start eating it.
Ooh.
Yeah.
One of these guys?
Not this one, but a more fierce looking shrimp.
Shrimp are pretty fierce.
I mean,
It's okay, buddy. You look fierce.
Yeah.
We can tell you've been working out. It's fine.
It's like, I've been training for this moment.
My parasitic amphipod tells me so.
Yeah.
He's got something growing
Maybe
on one
it's-
of his antennae.
Yeah, that little like
That's a little
gelatinous looking
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Oh
maybe
yeah.
that's
Something
I wonder
adhered
if
to
it's
it.
like a little. Yeah.
All right, Marley, let's come full wide. We've shrimped all we're going to shrimp at this particular moment of shrimping.
That's a good shrimp moment.
Hey Ben, are we gonna have a bearing change for waypoint 5?
Yeah, so I actually just changed this to 110.
110, roger.
Yeah.
Okay.
But at the same time, if there's any interest in exploring more of the extent of this mount, I can always move around.
Sure.
So the person online that was asking about citizen science earlier, so one of the ways that we do monitor these remote atolls, because we can't have people go there all the time, they're really hard to get to, and that's not necessarily desirable anyway. We want to leave them for the birds, so to speak. Is that we actually, though, have song meters and remote sensing cameras on the islands that are taking pictures at set intervals and recording at set intervals. And then every couple of years when we get out, we go out there and we get all the data from them, or as much data as we've been able to get over a couple of years, assuming it hasn't broken down, because they don't really make cameras designed to exist on the equator on a seabird colony for years at a time.
How do you keep the lens clean?
That's a really good question.
You should talk to Ed, because he's recently spec'd a camera for us that has a external wiper.
Are you serious?
way.
Oh,
Yep.
that's fantastic. I know that before they head out, I'm always seeing them sort of like MacGyvering all of this off-the-shelf gear to try to make it be able to last for a couple of years. So they're always looking for interesting ways they can like change the specs on it. But that we end up then with a ton of data that we have to go back through and try to glean information from. So that's one of the things that in the future we're looking at, try to make some of that data forward facing on like a citizen science project, so then people can come through and like count birds and identify species and stuff like that. So that's definitely something we're looking at.
Yeah, I was involved with the citizen science project for a while, and it was really neat, and it was actually quite effective.
Yeah.
Video
it took
push
time to kind of gain the
Yeah,
value
let's take a
of
look
it,
at those.
but yeah, it can be a really
another
neat data
Oreo
processing
fish?
tool.
Yeah.
Another Oreo fish.
Does look snackable.
Get out of the way, Oreo. We want to
Can't
look
eat
at
just
corals.
Woo!
Alexis, did you give me
Spicy.
background when you said?
Yeah, I did. I
You
said I
did?
studied
Yeah,
deep sea
you said-
corals.
okay.
Full
Is
wide.
that why she's like, get out of here, fish? No, we love all of the fishies in this.
We love everything. There's that coral, that white coral on the left. I'd like to just take a look at.
The branchy one?
Yeah,
the bigger one?
the one that's more white.
Closer to us.
Yeah,
So it's not like the white one, but the white one.
it's the white one, not the like kind of other white
Eggshell
one.
white one.
Manta white.
I have the real white one.
Oh, and what's down there at the bottom? Is that just a
Looks like
cucumber?
a sea cucumber, yeah.
He's got appendages.
Looks like another Nelpsamia. Just want to check. The zooms help because there's a couple different species and genus of the scleractinians.
Oh,
And we're pretty deep still, so 11, 25.
Marley, all you.
So interesting to take note of what types we're seeing.
Again, polyps facing mostly the other way.
Yeah. So that's like kind of one of the characteristics of this type of coral is that
Too much.
this species is that their polyps all face in one direction, which helps with being able to ID because it's very standard.
It's like a current sensor.
There we go.
Yeah.
There we go.
Should log it.
Oh, little hermit crab.
Little hermit crabs, some
Hydroid.
hydroids.
Oh, hey.
That's great. If we can see the one that's behind it while we're sitting here, we can just zoom from here.
The one with that one?
Yeah.
Sorry, we're all the way zoomed in already.
Yeah, I figured we were.
let's see if we can get it in focus at least.
Yeah, that's fine. We can still see pretty well.
Pretty crab.
Yeah.
Waving
Little
at
squat
us.
lobster.
Saying hello, waving.
Hey, Squat, like he is
Looks like he's doing the YMCA song.
waving. Yeah.
Needs
Sometimes
three
on
friends.
the top of these little like mounds, they will wait for something to
Oh, yeah.
like touch their pincher, and then they'll snap on it. And so I have witnessed a fish
Predation event.
predation event. Yeah.
Yeah, these types always have their like claws extended like that.
Really sensitive.
Um,
I know that crustaceans have a lot of these like pre-built-in neurological responses.
oh,
So like when the
Let's back out a little bit. We'll find the sea cucumber, and then we'll go.
when the pelagic shrimp and other similar species slap their abdomen shut and just zoom out, that's actually
There we
mediated
go.
by a single neuron.
I'm
Let's
full
zoom in.
down right now. They're great.
So it's kind
Okay,
of important
and then I'll rush
some
off.
neurological
Yeah, no worries.
research.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, look at that one. That's a moldy cucumber.
All the unusual growth.
So Ben, what kind of research would be studying that single neuron?
I think it was
Okay.
decades ago, but it
All right,
was to
pull wide, Marley.
understand just neurological signaling, because it was like a single neuron mediated behavior. So it becomes easy to constrain the connection between the neuron firing and the behavioral response. I think is,
okay,
yeah.
okay, yeah. Is that pretty uncommon for
I think so.
deep sea organisms?
Or
yeah?
just for organisms in general,
Organisms
for
in general, okay.
the single neuron to
Right.
control kind of complex
Whoa.
behavior. Woo.
Something just
Some fluffiness,
something just flew by the Argus camera.
fluffy thing.
and it goes a
Very fluffy.
Plagithoria, that sea cucumber.
Oh.
Based on the chart, I should be going down.
Yeah.
Just checking.
I'm so sorry about that. I should have fudged my maps.
Good thing we have eyes. Yeah, we are going up.
I don't know if you guys are interested in the backscatter, but we have that layer as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want to see it.
Should I put
The
it-
one
Yeah.
geologist.
If you don't mind, just for a second.
Yeah, yeah.
I love maps.
Ooh, yeah, let's look at this.
Here, I'll zoom out.
Ooh.
Oh, wow.
All right, Marley, let's push in.
You can see all the old bases on there as well, so things have grown and died over time. And that, what's at the base of it, at the base of the rock, looks like it just, that whole colony detached and like landed upright,
Oh yeah.
you know?
Oh,
Yeah.
Sorry. I want to give
No,
you a
you're
little
good.
slack.
I think that's current, not you.
It's a lot of this primnode octocoral just growing down. But it's interesting, it's,
There's a brittle star that only has one leg.
what?
Has one leg.
that is a hard ID. Where?
Where?
Yeah, where?
Right by the laser.
It might have more than one leg, we just can't see it, right?
I don't think so.
Wow.
Okay.
It's a really violent area over here.
Big crinoid there.
Wow.
Looks like it might be at the skeleton. The dead skeletons are interesting. Some of them are like really white, like and calcareous looking, and then some of them are black. So there might have been black coral here as well.
And they do seem like they're all kind of coming down the side of that rock there.
Okay, thank you.
These ripples are really nice.
Yeah, there's some serious current coming around here.
Yeah.
Which is pretty awesome.
Okay. Bridge nav, you can do another step. Great, thank you.
And the currents coming up and around these seamounts are pretty important in terms of just like mixing the waters, because we're right here at the equator where you have a pretty constant temperature. So you don't have a lot of temperature change, and that, unlike other areas of the ocean where you will have like big temperature changes throughout the course of a year that could lead to some mixing in between the ocean layers, you don't really have that here. So you have these really stable thermoclines. And so the current coming through, hitting the seamount and then being pushed up, you get this upwelling of colder, deeper, more nutrient-rich water coming up to the surface. Towards the surface, at least.
Top of that was like 1119. That was the highest point that we found.
Yeah, the thermocline in the equator is like really stratified and right near the surface, so we're really far below that.
Mm.
But yeah, that stratification of the thermocline is a big part of the various dynamics of the water column in different regions.
All right, Jess, I'm going to start descending as we go along. You okay with that?
Yeah, sounds good. I'll just maintain a high delta with this current.
Yeah, so we've been seeing that like equatorial undercurrent right under the thermocline, and it was really, really fast.
Yeah, well, it's at like 50 to like 300 meters.
Yeah, I think
They're
it was
Oreo
a little
fish.
variable, but around there.
Crab.
Crab.
I think.
Oh.
No, maybe broken coral. Broken coral.
We see what we want to see.
We have a question about if we have tide level measurement equipment on Howland. I don't believe that we do.
Love how it has a caudal fin, but it doesn't use it at all. It's the sinusoidal motion of the,
Yeah.
you know,
You
the
also
dorsal rays.
We've also seen them like, they'll like be completely upside down, but like not disoriented. Like they're just like swimming upside down.
Oh, really?
It's very strange, yeah. I feel like they're a little bit like do, you know, like as a fish. But we see them around these seamounts quite a lot.
That's an interesting question though, right? Do you need to swim facing the ground, or can you swim facing the... It probably doesn't make any difference, right?
Yeah, apparently not too much.
Black coral?
Yeah, it looks like a black coral. Let's take a look.
All right, Marley, let's push in.
Yeah, it looks similar to when we sampled at Baker Island. Also has... Oh, look, there's a little homalid crab with a... Sorry.
Don't be sorry at all.
Never apologize for homalid crabs.
Are the homalids the one with the associates on the back?
Yeah, so he's a little bit obstructed by... But the... Where you see that yellow...
Yeah.
Oh.
So that's an acanthogorgia, a piece of acanthogorgia coral.
Right, so he's holding coral
wow.
back there.
Yeah, so he's holding coral, he or she.
He's like, I collected a sample for you.
Yeah, he's like, here.
Snips.
Take me to the surface.
That one has very long legs. I haven't seen one that looks quite like that.
Do you know if they kind of curate the association? Or
I don't know.
they,
Yeah, I don't know, like...
If it's passive or...
Right.
I can't imagine it being passive.
Because
you know,
with that, it's like it had to snip that coral.
Yeah,
It's one
yeah.
thing if it looks like it's a piece of sponge that like would have just been on the seafloor, but like it had to decide it wanted that bright yellow backpack.
And
Oh, that's cute.
You wouldn't see just a coral skeleton. You know, you would see coral with tissue.
Right, yeah.
it's
So, because
interesting.
like eventually probably, I mean, I don't know, that coral is probably going to stay alive for a while. Because it'll be moving around with the crab.
Yeah, it may even be a pretty good environment for it.
Yeah.
I always think of them like going to a disco. Finding the like snazziest coral
Yep.
outfit.
It's like, I'm ready.
Yellow coral's very in this season.
Alexis, is this
Very
sediment
forward on the palate.
coral?
Very
Sorry,
forward
yeah,
on
I
the
think
back.
it is Marley sediment.
Yeah.
So we saw this again at like Baker, where we have these pretty high sedimentation rates, so sediment coming down, and then this coral is really mucousy, so there's a lot of like stickiness to it. So some of that sediment is just ends up sticking to the coral.
All right, Marley, let's come for one.
Alexis, how long could that coral live? I mean, if it's getting carried around, it's in the current, it's still able to filter feed.
I think for a while. Yeah, I don't
disconnected
really.
From the base, like, could it just sort of live on that crab's back?
Because like each polyp is a mouth. Each polyp is an animal, so it can feed and it can. Yeah, it could theoretically just stay there forever and ever.
It's going on an adventure.
Yeah, yeah.
How do the homolids secure it to their back?
They have modified limbs that are holding it, so
Oh.
their back legs are essentially like little clip-on appendages, and it just holds it there.
So to speak to the like resilience of the corals, there was the species of corals identified in the Eastern Tropical Pacific, and it was the only species of a genus Siderastria in the Eastern Tropical Pacific. So it was a real long ongoing question. How did it get there with the closure of the isthmus?
Yeah.
Did it predate that? Turns out there was a researcher who wanted to do a transplant experiment in the 70s and took corals on a train in a bag and deposited corallus there. And decades later, it was identified as corallith live species.
Oh my
And
gosh.
he took it on a train. I couldn't believe that.
That is crazy.
Yeah, we kind of uncovered this through some, like, just literature. You kind of uncovered what happened with that story.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a neat discovery.
It's also a good lesson in not transplanting things.
Yep.
Unless you.
Well, and doing it at least tractably.
Yeah. Like,
These guys are really unfazed by
they,
Herc,
yeah,
huh?
they are.
Or maybe so face.
Can we actually, if he doesn't swim away, can we turn the lasers off and just get a shot of him?
Sure.
I can turn them off. Come here, fishy.
Our intrepid data manager just found out that there is in fact a tide station near Howland and several in Kiribati. So,
Indeed.
indeed, well done.
Indeed.
Well done, intrepid.
Wow, that's such
Well, I know there's tide data, so I was like,
Yeah.
is that satellite or is there actually a station? I wouldn't be too surprised if there was a buoy near the island.
wow, look at this.
Look at that.
You can really see like the lateral line system on it.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
so
It's
pretty.
really cool.
Oh,
Is
look
that-
at his eye.
Is that a cookie?
Oh, and look, it's like inverting its mouth.
Oh, wow.
It's like its lips.
Oh my gosh, the mouth.
Yeah, the mouth is amazing.
Wait.
They have been waiting for this forever.
Yeah.
Oh, and look,
Ooh.
it brought us to coral.
Lead the way. Follow me. I know where the coral is.
Yeah,
The
I like
fish
how
provides.
Alexis has the priorities.
they're very clear.
They're very clear.
I-
Corals.
Deep sea eyes are so interesting.
Yeah.
I was struck by the squat lobster eyes that were
Mm.
peering at us in the lab.
That's one thing. Like, yeah, there's some thought about if squat lobsters and other crustaceans can see on different wavelengths
Video
than us.
push in.
So if they can actually see like coral bioluminescence,
Wow.
because like that's one of the questions is how do associate it's fine corals.
Right.
That's a cool sea star.
Wow.
It's a nice scene.
Pink
Yeah.
coral.
There's a lot going on
Pink
there.
I
coral.
think that's the first one that we've spotted on our watch.
Yeah, looks like hemicorallium. We collected some of that yesterday.
I'm full down again here, Greg.
I'm holding off.
All right, Marley, let's back out some.
A couple different, or maybe the same type of promnoid, but actually looks like maybe a couple different.
All right, cool.
It's a nice rock face.
Pretty little neighborhood.
It's a
there,
really
yeah.
great little tableau.
And the current battles continue.
Yeah.
What's the maximum current speed that the ROV can operate in?
Slow walk. In truth, that's never actually been measured. And that's mainly because we don't know the amount of resistance that the vehicle body provides.
How much does Herc weigh again?
In water, very little.
Oh, yeah.
In air, no, it's true. In air, it's over 5,000 pounds. 2,500 of that is actually buoyant. Gives us approximately 2,500 worth of flotation.
So
We like to stay positively buoyant when we go into the water. That way, if anything happens, the vehicle will eventually make it back to the surface.
So the syntactic foam, the yellow pads, it's comprised of like little glass
Beads and epoxy.
beads, yeah.
So if we just like cut the tether and left it here, not that we would ever do that, but would it, obviously it wouldn't just shoot to the surface.
No, it'd take a little
No,
while to
it
go.
would take a
Slowly
while.
float up.
But we have a USBL transponder on it that we can acoustically trigger from the ship so we can track it. And we have a strobe on it so that when it does get to the boat, or to the surface, we can hopefully see it.
Let's take a look at that big coral.
I'm going to stay 20 off the deck, though, so we'll have
Sure.
to wait for the leash.
Oh, that's what we never did.
I remember hearing that, I can't remember who it was, but losing an ROV or some submersible, it coming up and it being really important to look early because birds would kind of swarm around it or something like that. I don't know if anyone's heard that, because it would be right below the surface.
Help find it.
Yeah. But then after a little while, they wouldn't still swarm, so it's useful, especially in daylight when the strobes are maybe less obvious.
Yeah, birds will swarm around anything that's new and unusual until they figure out what it is.
Yeah, exactly. And then your ROV just washes up on some shore.
In Oregon.
Well, things floating up near the surface tend to attract other life, so you'll get fish. Anytime you drop something up around the surface, you'll get fish aggregating around it, and so that could attract birds as well.
That's why big plastics can be such a problem for birds.
Yeah.
You know, like an evolutionary trap. They're fixated on these objects and grab them with their mouths.
Oh, well, we find that with primarily with albatross, actually. So they'll feed, one of the primary things they feed is up near the surface on like flying fish eggs or other fish eggs, things that they can get up near the surface, squids up near the surface. But a lot of times the fish eggs, the flying fish will lay their eggs on things floating on the water. So like naturally that would be rocks, wood, anything natural floating, the fish will
Did you start with rocks for floating?
Yeah. Oh, no,
Pumice.
sorry, pumice. Yeah, so up in the Northwestern, so a lot of times it's little bits of pumice that'll be floating.
Yeah, yeah.
And so the birds will like scoop up the fish eggs, and they'll eat the stones or rocks or whatever, but they have the super cool mechanism of, similar to an owl, regurgitating it as a pellet. But unfortunately, a lot of times now, what the fish eggs are floating on are marine plastics. And so we will find that in the albatross pellets on the, especially on Midway, quite a lot.
Wow.
When the babies will regurgitate before they fledge, and their it's called a bolus, will just be nothing but plastics.
Yeah, that's awful.
This would be a potential sample candidate. Would that be possible?
Yeah, that's good.
Probably, yeah.
Okay.
Rocks can definitely float.
Oh, yeah.
Rocks
There's
float.
that whole pumice raft that was in the news just recently.
Yeah, it was just near us, near Tonga.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, there was a big submarine pumice eruption. I was kind of hoping we would be closer to it.
It sounds like it's terrible on the boat hull.
I'm sure, but it'd be so cool to see. But yeah, even basalt can float occasionally. Special circumstances.
Oh.
Cue my thesis.
Really?
Is
Yeah.
it like more
Is that
aerated?
floating
or
basalt?
something?
Yeah, lava balloons.
Oh.
Lava balloons?
So they have
It's a
cavity
real
or
thing.
something?
Oh my
We'll need to come
gosh.
back to this.
Yeah, Megan,
Scientists
will
have
you,
creative
will you
names.
just give us your entire like master's presentation when we're in transit?
Marley, let's come full on.
You just did that to yourself.
Yeah, we can do that.
I want to know.
No, that's fine. Floating rocks are cool.
That's it. Might be Cantadilla. Or might be Perestinella.
Perestinella.
Perestinella?
Which way are the polyps going?
I don't know yet.
For Perestinella?
Mm,
Can you not see?
not really.
Yeah. It's not so helpful.
But it's like when they have the really fine
Yeah.
polyps.
Looks like there's a lot of little,
There's a
Seems
ton of
fairly
brittle
stable.
stars on there.
yeah, like little tiny brittle
yeah.
stars. Yeah.
Oh.
Like
little
a ton.
pink freckles everywhere.
Can I zoom, Greg?
Do you see that?
Yeah, I do.
It's like crazy.
What was that?
Greg, can I zoom in real quick?
Yeah.
I had a crazy dream last night
Yeah.
that
Yeah,
brittle
I think we
stars
should be okay,
started to
because even as
associate
August swings past, we'll just
like
end up in
brittle
deeper
stars
water.
everywhere.
With they associated with us?
No, with me in my sleep.
You particularly.
Like I remember waking up and just thinking I saw like brittle stars walking on the ceiling.
Oh,
You
It's
know,
crazy.
it happens.
Yeah,
It's
no,
gonna
like
get-
we'll just hold here, and then whatever happens,
out here
happens.
on the boat.
Yeah. That had never
They're
happened.
just gonna stay on the floor.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, Holly.
Look at all of those little brittle stars.
Yeah.
Oh.
And the little shrimp. See that little shrimp guy hanging off?
This is so fantastic.
A new nightmare.
I mean, yeah.
just kidding.
Also a nightmare, but
Just kidding.
so cool.
It's really cool.
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
so-
yeah, sure.
There's
So,
so many of them.
yeah,
These polyps seem to be going in different.
they do. These
Different
ones.
directions.
Well, and that's kind of what I think Candidella and
Yeah.
or Perestinella look like. They're not the ones that have like the real orientation,
Right.
but we can look at it when we bring it to the surface because they'll all close up, and then it's more evident which direction they go.
So please keep this in the lab because now I'm kind of scared. I'm going to have the same nightmare now.
It was crazy.
It was a premonition, and now
Yeah.
we're bringing it to the surface. So
I've
I don't
seen
know.
this movie before.
I've seen Brittle Star Associates many times in the last several years, and I've never had a dream like that. It was
Well,
That's
that's
interesting.
not a good sign.
a special moment.
See this movie on the Sci-Fi Channel later.
Yeah.
Huge squat.
Yeah, he's pretty big.
Oh man. And he's kind of like
Just hanging out.
He's got a couple
hanging.
legs. Yeah.
floating.
All right, so let's.
Yeah.
What?
Let's see. We
do
don't
you
need a
want here?
ton. We can just take a snip off of this lower branch to the right.
Lower to the right. Okay, the one that's kind of closest to the
Yeah, yeah. If that works well for you.
Sure. Sounds good to me.
Where are we going with this? How flexible is it?
It's pretty flexible, but it'll also break pretty easily.
Gotcha. We don't want to break it.
So we'll go starboard side if that's cool with you guys.
Sure.
How floaty is it?
It's not super floaty, but it's light. So like at the current, we do want to get the hand into the box.
All right. Is there any floaty bits already in starboard? Anyone know?
There's a rock and there's a plexarid. I'm not sure how floaty it is or how big it is.
I don't know what a plexarid is.
But both rock and plexarid are in E, the larger forward part of the starboard
Okay.
box. We have the rest of the compartments open, so all four are small and the aft large.
Roger.
This could definitely go small if you.
Yeah, let's do that. And Ben, it's 49.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
All right, video, go ahead and push in there, please. That's good right there. Thanks, Marley. Something around here, Alexis, is that good for you?
Yeah. Can you repeat? Hold on.
Not really.
Not terribly well.
Sorry, yeah, that looks great. I didn't have my.
So if you're not
Not
careful,
terribly
you're going
well.
to get a whole lot of excess
Yeah.
or extra.
Alexis, can I take the top one?
You can, yes.
That'll be a little bit easier. and
Yeah.
Why not take a big bundle full? Just gonna get my fingers in here.
You're going to want, yep, rotate the other way though. Other way, other way.
Nice.
Keep going, keep rotating, yeah. There you go.
Snip.
Great.
Snipped.
You guys want to look at this before I put it in?
Do you need a snap of it, Megan?
I got a lot of snaps, but we
Okay.
can always do more.
Right.
It's good right there.
Sweet.
Thank
All right.
you.
No worries.
Snapped.
Go ahead and come with her, Marley. So you're full vert down right now. Okay. Thanks, Greg. All right, I'm ready for you when you are.
Alright, cameras are both on. And, well, before I open this, what's your plan? Are you going to go top down and in and try and get the jaw entirely into the box, or are you going to do the rotate and...
I'm going to see if I can do a rotate,
Okay.
just because these are gangly jaws.
Yeah, they just won't open more than the rest of the box.
It's true.
Okay, nothing's floating in that first bit. And once you're up and over, I'll come out the rest of the way.
Roger.
You are out fully and still stable.
Roger. Thank you. So nothing is in D?
Yeah, D is totally free. All 4 are free.
See if we'll be able to get it in with the current. I might go to a C,
That's fine.
given the current.
No worries.
Perhaps I will have to shove it in there like this, huh?
If you keep going that way, you'll break some into B. So I might do the lay flat just because of it, since it's gripped so far back in the gripper. So I would do the lay flat.
Yeah, and then the rotation, yeah. Stand by. My joints all figured out here. All right, let's see if that works here. Whew, well,
Nice.
there's to hoping.
Nice.
Stand by.
Nice.
Great job.
See it.
Sorry,
is.
let me just get out of the box here real quick.
You're going to bring your elbow down.
Yeah. Forehead into the light bar.
And you're in HD.
Yep, thank you.
One of the things to be extra careful of when you go around to the starboard bio box is that if you do wrist over the way you had been, you can shoulder in enough to rip out cables in the vehicle.
How do you mean? I mean
So
on the bio box, or do you mean on the...
when you're going over to the bio box, yeah. So if you wrist over the way that you had, so that the wrist is pointing into the vehicle, you can actually shoulder all the way in and jam the claws, everything into the vehicle,
Yeah.
which you don't want to ever do. So it's just an added thing. Oftentimes I try to not wrist over like that, but it's okay to do. You just need to be aware of what the...
Yeah, so you don't rip out your guts.
Right. Yeah, that's a dive ender.
Yeah, it's not a good day.
Rip out your guts.
Can you guys comment a little bit on the operations of the robotic arm? Viewers online can't see what I can see about the device you guys are using to manipulate the arm.
Sure. Let me bring my heading around for you, Jess.
Sure.
Get you lined up.
One.
Put in a bigger step this time, 40 meters.
40 meters at 110.
Yeah. Yeah.
Roger that.
So I was at 045, so we have a ways to come around.
Yeah, I can. Taking a look over in there.
Right, I'm at 075. Yeah, basically you're behind me and you have to...
Yeah, I see myself here.
Mm-hmm. Cool. And then as you work your way around, I'll continue around to 110 and I'll let you know when I'm there.
Roger.
So the, and Z-bias should have you just slightly heavy. Like, very slightly.
Roger.
But again, current depending entirely.
Yeah, big sail on top of this guy.
So we have a what's known as a mini master, which is basically a small robotic arm. There are motors in it, and it has all the same joints as the arm that's on the vehicle. And so when it's up and running and you're moving it, you can, if you move the elbow joint on the Mini Master, the main vehicle's arm, the elbow will move correspondingly. Now it doesn't, you can set it to take the same position as the Mini Master, or set it so that the Mini Master will take the position of the arm. We, however, don't use that, so for us it's really just if I move the elbow joint down, then the elbow on the vehicle moves down. What it does allow for is really fluid movement with the robotic arm. And I'm coming down, Jess.
Yep, sounds good.
And around.
The mountain.
When I come. Yeah. Only coming around the mountain when I come, not before. There might be 6 white horses involved, though.
Is that part of the song?
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I might change would be our third
and yes,
satellite.
Yes,
is
it's
the
part of the
Herc
song.
bubble.
I never remember that part of the song.
Herc bubble cam.
There's also a second arm that isn't used as often. What's
Correct.
Yeah.
What's that for?
I mean,
So that has a similar number of joints, actually, but it
thanks for the heads
is
up, though.
more brutish in nature. Whereas if you're not sending commands to the ISE arm, which we affectionately have named, are we calling it Mango now? Is that the... I think it's affectionately named Mango.
Depends on
It used to be named
ask.
Mongo.
Yeah, I thought.
So do I need to do anything? Okay.
If you're not sending commands to it, it will hold its position. Whereas the craft, if you stop sending commands to it, it does not hold its position. So that's why we park it on the side in the orientation that we do with the shoulder all the way up, which I believe still has a locking valve in it.
We'll go back to that.
And the elbow, which no longer has a locking valve in it, so that's just hanging. Shoulder is locked up, the elbow is hanging, and then the wrist, no matter what position you have the wrist in, will end up hanging.
Does it operate off the same Mini Master, or is there...
No, we have a buttons on the GUI as well as a little number pad adapted box. You can only run about, well, you can kind of try to run 3 functions, but it's really, you can run 2 functions at the same time with that. So you can move 2 joints at the same time with that, and that's only with the button pad. If you're using the GUI, you can only use 1 at a time. Whereas with the craft, you can run all functions at the same time.
You've gotten 3 functions at once on that thing?
Yeah.
What?
But it was like jaw open. You know, it was, the third one was not major.
Interesting.
But when I say yeah, it was summer. I'm going to point that out. It wasn't me, it was summer.
That's some skill right there.
We did ONC, and the craft arm started, for lack of a better term, wigging out.
Or a lot of wigs.
Yeah, wore a ton of wigs. The one of the wrist joints had a bad potentiometer in it, and it would just slam from one side to the other.
Oh, gee.
You know, like you try to grab something and it would just be like wham, 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 wham.
Seems less than
And we had, I'm at 110 or close enough to it.
Rudder.
And we had a bunch of pins, like cotter pins and shackles and stuff on the front porch. And like we're not going to put those away in the box with the craft arm slamming to one side to the other because of the main HD and such. And so I told Summer to do it with Mongo because Mongo can reach in to the forward bio box without any issues.
Mango, that is.
Mango. Mongo.
So the potentiometer
Mango.
was faulty during one dive? It wasn't like...
Well, we opened up the arm and
Yeah.
replaced it. Sometimes they delaminate. Sometimes salt water gets in there. You know, there's a lot of ways that things can go wrong.
I feel the pots are always kind of going off. That arm.
So, yeah, so she, there were probably 10 different items on the front porch, and she got very good by the end of it at grabbing them and dropping them in the box, collected all of them. Because other than the, like, reach around for the side box, Mongo can do all the same motions. Just a little more violently.
So were you saying that you
Mango.
control the predator arm with, so that it always assumes the position of the joints as is?
No, you can make it do that.
Yeah, because I don't see you guys.
But we don't do that.
I see.
You
Okay, that
can
makes sense.
also, and I think this is still a feature, if you hold the index button for too long, it will, the Minimaster will drive itself to match the position of the arm.
Yeah.
And it cares not about fingers, anything else.
Oh,
like,
man.
Yeah, those are some
What?
powerful little motors.
Oh, jeez.
Wait a minute, I've never seen that. That's good to know. Never heard about that either. Know that.
I kind of want to see it.
Well, with the newer
No, you
box,
don't.
we may have disabled it.
Okay.
But with the older box, it would, yeah, that was a risk, especially when the halt button was like kind of sticky. So you'd hit it and it wouldn't
God.
take, and then like you'd long press it, and all of a sudden the arm's like,
Oh, jeez.
You kill the craft valve.
I wouldn't change this.
Because I see you guys relying a lot on doing a motion, resetting yourself to a comfortable position, and then doing a motion from that position.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, and then as you progress, like Josh will do lots of motions.
Yeah, yeah.
You
in
know,
one sweep.
in one fell swoop. Yeah. So.
I see.
Or like once you have your, one of the reasons that we have the captain's chair that's hard bolted to the floor is specifically for the arm work. Because you'll have it in your lap, and you can kind of anchor your elbow against yourself and on the armrest, and then just slide out, and the arm will reach straight out. You know, and so you can control lots of. I do a lot of one-hand arm stuff. Don't use two hands very frequently when using that controller anymore.
Yeah, I see like Trevor use a lot where he holds like the elbow with the other arm. And
Yeah, that's
you guys all seem to have different.
It's
like
fairly standard, and there are definitely times where that's useful. But if I start with the arm, with the Minimaster fully tucked up, just the way the arm is fully tucked up, then I can control the elbow and the shoulder just with one arm. Kind of, yeah. You know, I'll move it and it'll just mimic.
Yeah. And they have these ones where you actually fit your arm inside something or something.
Yeah.
Oh, it's like a haptic feedback, those, or not haptic feedback, but haptic gloves. Is that what you're talking about?
No, there are multiple different controllers
for like
the craft.
Arm.
Yeah. Right. So this is a Minimaster. There is a master. And then there's a third one.
Micromaster.
Miso?
Definitely Miso. That's what's missing.
It's funny. I learned the one arm thing out of necessity. Sometimes when you don't have someone who's competent in Argus, then you're, like when I'm over here, when Jess is over here, and Herc needs a camera changed or something opened, a well-trained Argus pilot will take care of that for the Herc pilot. If you have an intern, sometimes it's based on timing and everything else. You have to do that yourself, but you're also driving the arm. The vehicle may not be fully stable, and so learning to do it with one hand was more of a necessity than anything else.
Huh.
Right, because it's not something I would have thought about.
Right. If you have two arms, you might as well use them.
We have a class of 5th graders online listening, and they're wondering how they can get involved with Nautilus. I'll definitely mention that you can start by having your teacher get onto nautiluslive.org and check out the education website there. There's a ton of great activities for kids, and that'll be a great place to kind of get a feel for what it is that we do, but here in your classrooms. If you're interested in careers like this, it's a great way to get a sample of some of the things that we do while out at sea.
Right, but when you say careers like this, in the van right now we have a whole slew of different careers.
Yeah.
So careers like this is pretty broad. If you're looking more towards the engineering side, starting in middle school, I think there's the first Lego League. You can build Lego robotics, and then in high school there's first robotics. There's also usually I think MATE has an ROV competition that starts in high school. I don't think that's available for middle schoolers.
And Lego's not the only show in town. Vex and PyTop and all sorts of great experiences.
Yeah, I don't know what First Robotics is using for their middle school stuff now, but the last I heard they were still doing, it was called Lego League.
Yep. And while engineering is a big part of what makes this possible, Greg and I had actually just been discussing yesterday about how many diverse careers make up this team. So you'd be surprised to hear that it takes a pretty wide array to make these things happen.
Right, and even from just engineering, you have mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, optical, video engineer, data engineer. So there's a...
And our biologists and geologists in the back, absolutely critical.
Woo woo.
But not engineers.
Not an engineer. Definitely not.
Scientist.
And there are always careers as science enthusiasts as well.
And communications.
What's your background, Holly?
So my undergrad was in English, and then my master's degree is in digital communications. But most of my professional career, I actually started as a park ranger, and that's how I got into science communication. So I worked for the National Park Service at parks around the country, which was an amazing job, and really opened my whole world to like different types of science communications.
Very cool.
Yeah, and I look at those jobs with envy now as someone who's a chemist first, working in a research lab, and now I see so much field science work that I was completely unaware of. So to have as many colleagues as I have whose jobs are, their office is a national park, that's a pretty enticing career.
Yep. Well, so there's, park rangers, and there's all types of like jobs that you can do as that. And then in my current agency, Fish and Wildlife Service, there are lots of internship programs as
coming up.
You come into high school and college. So AmeriCorps has a lot of internships with different science agencies and different land agencies. that will allow you to get out and actually start doing like real science and real field work and conservation work. There's all kinds of great opportunities out there. You don't have to just choose one path. Just explore things that you're interested and passionate in, and yeah, there's lots of